Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast, Alive and Raw Business Breakthroughs. I'm excited for you guys to be here. I just wanted to recap the last couple of weeks we've been talking about goal setting and mindset. And as we are in now into 2021, let's take this session, we're going to talk about goal setting, about planning. We talked about the goal setting is there. How do we take that from a goal and put it into action and create traction, create results, right? So let's just jump right in, shall we? Really excited to be here. My name is Wes Kowalchuk. I'm the founder and owner of Business Impact Coaching, and I am doing this process to bring value to you guys, to just create abundance within the community and help you guys move forward in whatever it is that you're stuck with in your business. If you resonate to some of the stuff I talk to, or you want some more information, put your comments down below and we can get into and talk about, how to help you get out of the sticky spot that you're in, right? So let's first talk about what is planning, right? So we've done the goal setting. How do we plan it? Really, the planning is super simple. And what I find with most business owners that I talk to, including myself, as soon as you say planning, the fog sets in, the eyes glaze over, and we go, holy crap, I got to do this. I don't want to do this. But it's actually really, really simple. It's simply asking, what is it you want to accomplish? When do you want it accomplished by? Who's going to do it? What resources do you have to bring to your disposal? How are you going to do it, right? What's the steps involved? And then why? And the reason why the why is so that you can get buy-in from all the team members that need to be part of it to execute on it, right? And then we'll get into the planning process on how to create that flawless execution model that I love promoting, because it's how you create constant improvement. If you've heard of Kaizen, that's exactly what it is, constant improvement. And it's a simple 5-step process, but we'll talk about that later, right? So in your goal setting that you've done over the last couple of weeks as we prepare for 2021, right? Identify some preliminary objectives, right? So you've got a goal. Here's what you want. Okay, what else do you need to do to break that? If that's a 1-year goal that's out there, we're going to talk about breaking it into quarterly goals, right? First quarter, second quarter, third quarter. Work our way backwards though, and go, okay, so if you're going to hit $1 million, 6 months in, you want to be at $500,000. First quarter, you want to be at 250,000. Third quarter, of course, you want to be at 750. Now that's just simple math, breaking it down like that. And I know real life, that is not how it goes. There's some slow periods, some fast periods. I mean, in my oil field service business, we had some record months in September that did most of our revenue, at least half of it in 1 month. and then, because it's the oil field, break up, zero, nothing, right? So I get the reality of all of that. So it's not lost on me. So if you guys have that seasonal flow, that growth and the ebb in your business, planning is going to help us understand, especially when we get into the budgeting side, how to manage and navigate those slow times. So we want to help you set some preliminary objectives. And the reason why I say preliminary is because we're just going to put those out there because we really don't know if they're achievable given the resources and the time that we have. So put something out there. So if your goal is to hit $1 million, right? Your preliminary objective is, what do you need to do to hit that million? If you have to sell a bunch of widgets, how many widgets do you have to sell? That's a preliminary objective, okay? And the reason why it's preliminary is because we're going to go back and change it after you get some rest of the planning in place and identify what that is, right? So the second thing that you want to do is create some planning assumptions so that you can get into the budgetary piece. Now, this can be very, very simple, very quick, and it's really about what things that we know about our business that we can plan that are true. And then there's the things that we don't know are true. Maybe, hey, is my pricing model right or is it not? Well, what we have to do is make that assumption that, okay, here's our pricing model. It's $200 for this widget, and we're making the assumption that's the correct price. We're going to go back and we're either going to test it to see if it's true or false, or we're going to test it to see if it's a different price, right? What else? So the other thing that we can do is getting into pricing is make some assumptions around communication. What is it And how is it that you're going to communicate? Because the most important thing around planning is open communication. You know, I talked about it a couple of weeks ago, or last week on one of my just social media posts about throwing that snake on the table. Sometimes as a team, we have to throw that snake on the table, clear the air, so that we understand exactly what the owner wants to do, or us as the owners, we understand that the team understands exactly how we want it carried out, kind of thing, right? So the other assumption is who's going to be involved in doing this, right? And that's just a sampling of some assumptions. If you guys want some more detail in this stuff came out of Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth. So it's a tool that I've been using for quite some time, but it's not the only tool that goes into my planning. I use a number of templates and other things to help me just kind of trigger some stuff. But because I've been doing it for a while, it's pretty easy for me to just take the last year's plan and revise it. My plan gets revised every quarter anyway. So it's pretty simple just to keep revising the plan going forward, right? So if this is your first kick at the planning, here's some things you want to do. So set the preliminary objectives. What is it you're going to do? How many widgets you got to sell, right? When are you going to do it by? Who's going to do it? Then create some planning assumptions around, hey, these are some things that we know to be true. These are some things that we don't. And we're making assumptions about the don't until we can prove that they're true or false, or we can test them to see if it's accurate, right? Then we want you to create a preliminary forecast, right? A cash flow budget or cash forecast. And part of that is budget. You know, what are all the expenses that we're going to need to deliver on our goods, right? So if you guys don't have one of those forecast templates, put your comments below, because I'll send you a working spreadsheet on Excel that you guys can certainly copy and run with it, because it's a tool that I use extensively, and it's exciting because it really helps me. I've got it printed out on my wall here. It really helps me look at exactly where I'm at in my business. So you definitely want to do that. I use it as a forecast to see what I need to do, and I also use it as a budget to make sure that I'm budgeting my funds properly, right? So once we've got that forecast and the budget done, and it can be done at high level, it only takes, my wife and I, we did her forecast last Sunday. Last Sunday, in an hour, we had half of it done. And so we're going to do the other half this Sunday, and her forecasting is done for the year, which is pretty cool, especially when you use that template. It's pretty simple. So once we've got that done, we're going to go back in and we're going to refine our objectives, right? Now that we know what our preliminary ones, we know what our budget is, we know what our forecast is, we can go in and change those and firm up those objectives. We're going to do this, buy this, and get it to here, right? The fifth thing that you need to do is create some KPIs, or key performance indicators. Now, these are the things that are going to measure how effective you are at executing your plan. And I want you to keep this in mind. This is probably the most important thing about planning, right? If you can track and measure it, you can manage it. If you don't track it, don't measure it, there's nothing you can do. And especially it is true, especially in your sales and marketing when it comes to lead generation and conversion. If you're not tracking where your leads are coming from, and you're not tracking how many you're getting, there's no way that you're ever going to be able to improve your marketing program or improve your sales. It's just not possible. So if you're not doing that right now, make a comment below, and I will give you some tools that you can use to help you create those key performance indicators. We also want to do some benchmarks, right? So 30, 60, 90-day planning. When we look at our ultimate plan of 1 year out and we break it into quarters, what are we going to do in the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? Those are what we call benchmarks. By the end of the January, I want to hit this benchmark. So, for example, for me with my benchmark, by the end of this January, I had 3 more clients onto my roster. That's all I have room for, and 4 more coaches. 4 more coaches. I've got 2 on board now, and I'm looking to add 4 more by the end of the month. I have a target to hit 25 by the end of the year, so that's kind of the benchmark. And there's things that I'm putting in place, KPIs that I'm using to measure that stuff, right? So that I can track the progress. I can track how well my marketing's doing, okay? And so for every benchmark, you have to do a mini plan. So essentially the same thing. is what is my primary objective? What is my assumptions? What's my forecast for this short mini piece? And it gets really simple. And the idea is as you go through all these things, it's going to help you identify opportunities and weaknesses in your business that you can work on to make it better, right? If you don't go through the planning, I think it was Douglas MacArthur, general of the Allied forces in the Pacific in World War II. He said planning is essential in planning our operations in the Pacific. But he said once the first bullet flies, it all goes out the window. It doesn't matter because the bullets are going. And so the plan changes. It's fluid. But the planning process is what helps identify opportunities for you to grow your business, right? So in doing the benchmark stuff, you're going to create just a small 3-column chart. Left column, benchmark, right? Those are the things that you have to hit in the 30, 60, 90 days. And then in the middle column is accountability. Who is going to be responsible for this? And then write that name down. And then what's the due date as to when it has to be done by? And what's so unique about doing this kind of process here is the person that's accountable for that benchmark is the one that needs to do the mini planning. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about, and that's what I'm talking about here when we're talking about going from goal setting to action planning. So this is the foundational part of your business plan to actually set it in place, a working, living, breathing document to help you guys achieve predictable success in growing your business. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat down below. I'll get back to you and help you guys out in any way I can. Again, this is 2021. You need to look at how to focus and grow your business today. There's 3 kinds of business owners, 3 kinds of people in this world. And I'm going to tell you just a quick closing story before I get out of here. I was having a chat with a wonderful lady yesterday, and we were talking about where she was at in her business and where things were going. And I asked her, I said, what are your goals for 2021? And she goes, well, I really don't know. And I said, well, why not? She goes, well, I'm taking a wait and see approach. And I'm going, what are you waiting for? She goes, well, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with COVID, what the government's going to do, what's going to happen with the economy. And I kind of relayed this story to her about the 3 kinds of people in this world. There's the kind of people that are the ones that are movers and shakers, right? These are the business owners that are going out there and they're going all in. They're burning the boats and they're committed to figuring out a way to pivot or grow their business in this crazy economy. The second kind of people are the ones that are watching what happens. They're taking a wait and see approach. And then the third kind of business or the third kind of people are the ones that wonder what happened. And they're in that boat because they weren't willing to step out and take action. And so those are the business owners, unfortunately, that have closed their doors or were forced to close their doors. Or those are the business owners that are going bankrupt. And my heart goes out to them because I was in that boat in 2015 when I went bankrupt and I had to close my doors for my own business. Right? That's a dark place. It's ugly. I thought about sticking a gun in my mouth several times. It's not a place that I would encourage anyone to be because it's you don't want to be there. So the reason why I'm sharing these podcasts with you guys is to give you some tools, to give you some ideas that you can do to shift your thinking upstairs, just a tiny little shift that will go from pessimistic to optimistic. And when your mind shift is optimistic, you're going to start seeing things. So if you go from a person that's taking a wait and see kind of approach to life, and then all of a sudden you decide that, if everything went well and you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do to get your business to that $1 million milestone? Or what would you do to get it to the $2 million? Or what would you do to get it to $3 million? And so if you take that mindset, all of a sudden you start seeing opportunities. And that is the powerful place, or what Tony Robbins calls a place of power, a powerful state in which you can take action and start making those things happen in your life, in your business. So that's essentially planning for your business in a nutshell. I made it sound fairly simple. Trust me, it's not. You will get overwhelmed. You will go, oh my God. But I want you to keep thinking about, just keep it simple. Keep it simple. If you start to glare over, your eyes gloss over, or the brain fog kicks in, just go to the next step and go, okay, what's the next thing I need to do that I can make sure I can take steps on, right? So those are the 5 steps to basic business planning. Just ask yourself, what do I have to do? When do I have to do it by? Who's going to help me get it done? How am I going to do it? And then why are we doing it? Why do we have to do that? And if it matches with your values and the core principles for your business, and it aligns with your vision and your mission, you're golden. You guys are going to crush it in 2021. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about budgeting. But if you guys want to hear something different, if you have a burning desire for me to say something about business that you guys are struggling with, put it in the comment section down below, and we'll pick that up and we'll talk about it next week. So until then, have a happy weekend. Stay safe and go out there and crush your dreams and goals for 2021. And remember, like I said a couple weeks ago, make sure your goal setting is big enough to scare you. Make it your moonshot. Love you guys. Have a good one.